The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
On the Morning Drive, take your thoughts, comments. Yates Flooring Center chat line, Visual Edge IT hotline at 2 is open for your amusement and use, if you'd like. Okay. Amusement in that you can call and have conversation. Let's see. This is a negative Nelly, but that's okay. It would take both sides. You haven't played anybody, and your line is garbage. You haven't seen the speed of an elite team. Ducks by 20 at Duck on Quack 2023 with a duck emoji. Okay. Sarcasm? Is that just an angry duck?
I don't think so.
That's their first post. Well done. Got everything spelled right. I'm so proud of you.
I don't think, first off, I don't think your defensive line is, anywhere close to garbage. It's
right.
Elite good, top 2 or 3 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think your offensive line is your strength by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it is also far from garbage. I don't think you have seen the speed of Oregon yet. I agree with that point. So I think that's a challenge that you're going to, I think it's the best offense that you're going to face or you have faced up to this point. I would also say I think Texas Tech's defense is better than any of you've faced. However, I think they've faced closer to that challenge with Indiana that they lost to, if that makes sense. I think they've faced closer to as good of a defense as we have, closer than we have as good of an offense that they have.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's the, great offense against a great defense. That's the side of the ball that everybody's going to talk about in this matchup, I think, which says to me quite possibly the game could be won the other side. Tech's offense versus Oregon's defense. Okay? I don't think Oregon's defense is elite by any stretch of the imagination. We know that Texas Tech has a top 5 offense, but we also know it has challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the side that nobody's really talking about here. And, to me, that's the side that could decide the game. I do not think that Texas Tech is going to hold Oregon to, what they've been holding all their opponents to when it comes to defensively holding them to 11 or less or whatever. I do not think that's going to happen. Now, double that, I think that very well could happen. I think they could, be in the mid to high 20s. And that still be a winnable game for
mm-hmm.
Texas Tech.
The most points that you gave up in a win was 20, and that was November 1st at K-State, in which Tech won 43-20. The most that you gave up in a loss was the 26 on October the 18th.
I bet it was to Arizona State.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Since that's the only loss you had.
Well, but right. I was just trying to kind of just give you the total of what you maybe didn't word that quite
just
right.
Most points you gave up in any game. The most
points that you gave up in any game this year was in your only loss to Arizona State.
There you go.
On October the 18th. Was that better?
That was better.
Okay. 26-22, and that's a game.
It's also the least points you gave up in a loss.
It is.
Yes.
It is. It's also the least number of points that you scored in a game.
Okay.
Okay, because you scored only 22 points in that game. All right.
And I think that we would all agree. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we would all say you lost the game because of your offense, not because of your defense.
Yes. Yeah.
Your offense was pretty much non-existent until right there late, and suddenly you had a lead, and then your defense kind of had been on the field so much, just kind of ran out of gas.
You've got two common opponents with these Cats in Oregon State and Oklahoma State. Tech whitewashed Oklahoma State 42-0 on October 25th, and Oregon had no problems with Oklahoma State on September the 6th, 69-3. Maybe that's the first time we thought, wow, we knew Oklahoma State wasn't going to be very good, but like, okay, maybe coming off of, hey, when you lose all 9 of your conference games one year, maybe you can be a little bit better the next year. And then the answer to that question is no, they weren't. And that was the beginning of the end of Mike Gundy there in his tenure at Oklahoma State. The other common opponent is Oregon State, and Oregon defeated Oregon State 41-7 on September the 20th, and Texas Tech was a winner over Oregon State the week before, 45-14. So that's a pretty close score between the two, and a week later. So that's your most common opponent between the two. Texas Tech's scoring about 43 points a ball game, and Oregon 39 points a ball game. Do you think both those teams are held below their averages, given that you have averaged giving up 10.9 and they've averaged giving up 16.3?
Yeah, I would expect both to be under those averages.
Okay. Do you think that you have to hold Oregon to less than 252 yards passing? Or is it the 217 yards rushing that concern you more?
I think you could handle the 252 passing more than you could the 217 rushing.
Okay,
I think it would still give you a better chance to win.
Just because of taking time off the clock and limiting possessions and things like that?
Yeah, and keeping your offense off the field.
Yeah. What do you think they're concerned about? Are they more concerned about your passing or your rushing?
Yeah, both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah, I think they're probably concerned of...
Just kind of like we are concerned about both.
Feel like we can hurt them with both.
Yeah. Especially with a healthy Baron Morton. If he can stay back there in the pocket and stay upright and find his guys downfield, all those kinds of things. All right, 6:40 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Lots of Orange Bowl discussion. We'll have Optimum Game Day Live, boots on the ground on New Year's Eve and, of course, New Year's morning as we bring you extensive coverage of Texas Tech football here on Double T 97.3.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Time for this day in sports history. Today is Monday, December the 29th, 2025. Here is Jeff McGuire.
Starting us off, 1934. The first collegiate basketball doubleheader is played at Madison Square Garden. New York University beats Notre Dame 25-18. And in an offensive explosion, Westminster edges St. John's 37-33.
Wow. We'll have a doubleheader here in Lubbock on Saturday. The men play at noon against Okie State and the women at 6 against Arizona.
1957. The National Football League Championship took place at Briggs Stadium in Detroit. The Lions beat the Browns 50-14. That's 50-14. Lions scored 2 touchdowns in each of the 4 quarters.
And those two teams are still looking to get to a Super Bowl.
1963. National Football League Championship took place. This was at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Bears beat the Giants 14-10. Giants' third consecutive championship defeat, played in temperatures under 10 degrees Fahrenheit. (1982) American college football coach Paul Bear Bryant ends his career with the University of Alabama. 323 wins.
And here in a couple of weeks, we'll have a This Day in Sports History, and Paul Bear Bryant will be dead.
Wow. That was dark.
Well, it's just kind of what happened. He was done coaching, then he was done living.
2006, Red Raiders spotted Minnesota a 31-point third-quarter lead then rallied for a stunning 44-41 overtime victory in the Insight Bowl, the largest comeback in Division I bowl history at the time.
It was a fun night.
It was a fun night.
And in 2007, Tom Brady sets a then NFL record, throwing his 50th touchdown pass, and the New England Patriots become the first team in NFL history to finish the regular season at 16-0. Today is not a day for Jamie Lent. Just going to go ahead and say it,
That's
and I
too bad.
apologize. It is National Coffee Day and National Mocha Day.
Mocha.
I don't have issues with mocha. Never used it before because it's always with coffee, right?
Right.
What else do you use it for?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How about coffee cake? Do you like coffee cake?
It's okay.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with coffee.
I know. They just call it
It's
coffee.
more of cake that you eat with coffee.
Coffee.
It's,
You know, it's
And
kind
it
of
is
cinnamon
delicious.
to
Not
it.
like a flavored of coffee, that is in the cake. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't like that.
Coffee ice cream. Have you ever had that?
I would not have that. I assume
there
is
coffee
trying to
taste in that.
flavor
Yeah,
like
yeah.
coffee. Yeah.
There is. Yeah.
Happy birthday, John Voight is 87, Jude Law 53, Ted Danson 78, and Myles Garrett is 30. And on this day, 1845, 6 months after Congress of the Republic of Texas accepted the U.S. annexation, Texas is admitted to the United States as the 28th state.
How about that?
And that is this day in sports history.
This day in sports history. Thank you, Jeff. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. NFL, boy, the last two games were dandies on the NFL slate from last night. What did you think of the Bills going for two at the end of the game there, and then it failed, and the Eagles were victorious 13-12.
I'm always the conservative guy. I thought they should have kicked a field goal earlier in the game on 4th and 3 or 4th and goal from the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Thought they should have gone for one, kicked the extra point, and was saying it before.
I agree with
Allen threw a terrible pass, and if the reason is that you have your third string kicker that you're on, who had an extra point blocked earlier because he kicked it too low, if the reason is that you went for two is because you didn't have complete trust in him to kick an extra point, then he better be gone today. And let's move on to number 4. Yeah, I thought all day long. Ultimately, it turned into an entertaining game. The last 5 minutes, I thought it was an extreme. I think snow football is really good and entertaining. I think rain football is not entertaining. Yeah. The Eagles had some offense in the first half. They had 16 yards of offense in the second half. Terrible, and you're not entertaining, boring to watch. Buffalo couldn't get out of their way all day long, and credit the Eagles defense for that. Ultimately, I thought it was a terribly boring football game that turned into a really good 5 minutes at the end.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I would not have called it a good football game. I would call it an entertaining finish.
Entertaining. The fourth quarter was better.
The last 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean,
Josh Allen had I am a huge Josh Allen fan, both on and off the field. That was probably as bad as I've seen him play. His decision making, taking a sack that cost you 19 yards and taking you out of field goal range at one point. Again, like Sean McDermott is the Bills head coach, but if it's 34-27 and you're going back and forth and it's 4th and goal at the 3 and both teams are running up and down the field, okay, you got to get 7, you got to keep up in this high scoring, and it's 13-0 late in the third quarter. Man, take points on 4th and goal at the 3. It's not like you had dominated running the football or doing anything on offense. Take the points, kick the field goal. I was really frustrated at that point with that decision making. Again, Josh's decision making to turn around and run 20 yards back and take yourself out of field goal range was horrible. And then I thought you should have kicked the extra point. And again, your offense hadn't been good.
Well, it
And
had finally
so
kind of gotten good and better than the Eagles.
gotten good because of a couple lucky catches down the field. Yeah.
Okay.
You were not dominating the line of scrimmage. Do not go for two there.
No, but I mean,
opinion.
it's not like the Eagles were running up and down the field either there in the second half.
And that's another reason why I say
Go for two.
go
Or
for one.
Yeah, no, I'm
Go
with
for
you on
one
that.
and play the overtime.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that.
You were the better team at that point. You turned it into one singular play, and I'll live and die with Josh Allen as my quarterback making that play. I get it. But in that situation, I didn't like the decision. And again, if part of the decision is we don't trust our kicker, move on to the next one. You got to trust your kicker to kick extra points.
Yeah, there's other kickers out there.
Yes, I would agree.
There's other kickers out there.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
No offense, sorry, dude. Hope it goes well for you. I'm sure they'll give you a nice little severance, but we got to have somebody different.
Yeah. The Sunday night game won by the 49ers 42-38. Bears had the ball and driving and had a chance there at the end, but the ball just comes up a little bit short. But man, I tell you what, you talk about a turnaround from a team that won like 5 games a year ago and now 11-5 this year. And Caleb Williams has just been terrific. He was 25 of 42, 330 yards, a couple of touchdowns.
It's amazing what having a good coach can do for a young quarterback, huh?
Yeah, no question. And Brock Purdy, and he threw 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception, threw over 300 yards, and Christian McCaffrey again was really good on the ground. He had 140 yards rushing, and the 49ers held off the Bears, a Bears team that was weakened by sickness. But man, those two teams may play again in the playoffs. Could see each other. Could see each other again in the playoffs.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
1 o'clock this afternoon, more bowl coverage as we'll have the Birmingham Bowl featuring Appalachian State and Georgia Southern. That'll be on 100.7 The Score. Then tonight at 6 p.m. on 100.7 The Score, it's Monday Night Football, the Falcons and the Rams. Rams look to be one of the best in the NFC, although maybe the 49ers might have something to say about that. They looked really good last night, but the Rams been playing really, really well. So we'll have that tonight at 6, and then we'll have the Cowboy Hour tonight at 6 on Double T 97.3. An hour from now, we'll visit with Lady Raider coach Krista Gerlich, her team in action on New Year's Eve. It's a 6 o'clock tip time. They'll take on UCF. Ladies have been off since defeating Baylor on December the 21st. So they have been at it and practicing and getting ready for UCF. And then they'll play Arizona on Saturday. And we'll have both those games on 93.7 The Eagle. All right. Let's see. How about we hear some thoughts from Sheil Wood, the defensive coordinator for Texas Tech. He was asked on Saturday about a defensive strength for his team because, we talk about the linebackers, talk about the defensive line that isn't talked about enough.
Maybe our safety play. I think that those guys have done a really nice job just being in the right position and being consistent, making tackles. Maybe if there's been a ball over the middle of the field that's kind of creased us, getting the ball down and giving us a chance to line up and play again, doing a great job from a communication standpoint. So I think our front seven gets a lot of attention, and that's well deserved. But I think those guys in the middle of the defense at the back end have done a really nice job.
And that might be a real key to a victory on Thursday, Jamie, in terms of defending there in the back end and keeping Oregon at bay from having those big, long, deep, explosive plays that they like to throw.
Yeah, I think all three phases of your defense, all 3 levels, that's a better word, will be really challenged in this game. Clearly, you need your defensive line to stop the run. You need your defensive line to put pressure on the quarterback like you've done so well all season long. Your linebackers are so good at being versatile enough to do both of those things and stopping the run and also being a factor in the passing game with the number of turnovers you forced by your linebacking crew. And then the back end with those safeties in the corners. I mean, they've got numerous receivers who can hurt you, and so it's going to take every part of those three levels doing their job, or you're going to have a rough day slowing down this offense. So those safeties and the corners, I would say just as much. They're gonna have their hands full, no doubt about it, and it does feel really good to talk about all three levels and feel like none of them are a weakness whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Dante Moore, their quarterback for Oregon, has thrown for over 3,000 yards, 3,046 to be exact, 28 touchdowns for him. He's 246 for 340 and the 28 touchdowns, but just 8 interceptions. So he's been really good at being accurate, and that's why he's one of the top quarterbacks in college football, and a very, very high draft opportunity for him coming up in April, and he might be the top quarterback picked.
Might be the top player picked.
Might be the top player picked. Yeah. Here is Sheil Wood, the defensive coordinator, on what Dante Moore excels at specifically.
I think the thing that he excels at for them is really doing a great job of managing the offense. And, they give him the ability to do a lot of things within what they do schematically. And he just has, I think, a really good mastery of what they're doing, being able to get them into some checks, into, maybe a better play at times based on the look that they're seeing, and then just distributing the ball across the field and playing within the parameters that they have. He's a very talented player, but I think just you can see on tape that he has a really good understanding of what they're doing and puts them in really good positions to be successful.
And he's got weapons down the field. Malik Benson's caught 36 balls for 645 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's got another receiver, Kenyon Sadiq, who's caught 8 touchdown passes from him, 509 yards. And then Jeremiah McClellan has caught 31 balls for 480 yards and 3 touchdowns, but his longest has been for 51 yards. So they've had a number of guys that have gotten long, explosive plays out of whether they're catch and runs or whatnot. It's going to be, a real challenge for you defensively.
Six different receivers that have at least 24 catches, at least 299 yards. That almost makes it more difficult that they don't have this one stud that you have to focus on, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, that's the guy we have to slow down. I mean, they've got 6 guys. He does, when Coach talked about him managing the game, a part of him managing the game is he spreads the wealth. He doesn't force things. He looks comfortable going to any of those guys. And those guys have come up with for him, big for him, a bunch. And again, it's funny when you play against like an elite receiver. You're like, how do we slow that guy down? Well, you don't really have that guy there. Nobody has more than 42 catches. Nobody has more than 645 yards receiving. You probably would look at that and go, we probably got a couple different guys that you would kind of rate ahead of maybe theirs. But they just mix it around so much that, I just think that that makes them really difficult to defend. So that's a big time challenge.
Yeah, when you're looking at Tech, the guy that's caught the most balls, Reggie Virgil, he's caught 6 touchdown passes, 676 yards. But Caleb Douglas has caught for the most yardage, 846 and 7 touchdowns. He leads you in that. He's caught 54 balls. And then Coy Aiken, who had a tremendous Big 12 championship game, 6 touchdowns for him and 626 yards. And then, oh, by the way, Terrence Carter, 46 grabs for 552 yards and 5 touchdowns. So, you could say, well, I guess the guy that you really want to focus on is Douglas or Virgil, but then you got to worry about Coy Aiken, you got to worry about Terrence Carter, and you got to worry about Jacoby Williams and Cam Dickey out of the backfield. Mm-hmm. So, it's not like you don't have, weapons yourself, because obviously you certainly do. All right, one last thing from Coach Wood. Here is his biggest concern of Oregon going into this game.
Just their explosive plays and their ability to run the football, those – and they want to create explosives in the running game and the passing game to do a nice job with it. I think, limiting their ability, hopefully, to run the ball successfully would be a really good thing for us. And then obviously trying to keep their explosive plays down. Those are two things that I think they do a really nice job of.
Noah Whittington leads them in rushing, 820 yards on 116 attempts. In his net is 798. He's rushed for 6 touchdowns. Jordan Davison has 13 touchdowns, 625 yards on 98 totes. And then one other player has 557 yards, Darier Hill Jr., and he has 5 touchdowns. Tech's leading rusher has over 1,000 yards, and that's somebody that they certainly have to be concerned about in Cam Dickey at 1,095, and then the 14 touchdowns. But then there's Jacoby Williams, and we've seen him be able to have explosive plays. His long is for 43 yards, and he has 787 yards in net rushing on the year. But Cam Dickey had his longest of 71. So lots of things to be concerned about on both sides of the ball offensively, which is why these two teams are playing in the college football playoffs, and one seeded 4th, Tech, and one seeded 5th in Oregon.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, I think I have a very simple question for you guys here today. Take the proverbial turnovers out of the equation. Which stat will decide this game on Thursday?
I think it's red zone scoring. I think you got to punch it in, and because I think they're a team that has the ability to have explosive plays, and you can't afford just to score 3. You got to score 6 plus 1, 7. So put me down for red zone scoring. Whoever is the best there is going to win.
I like Chuck's answer. I don't share it, but I do like it. I think it's a good stat to look at for this week. I'm going to go yards on first down for both teams. If your defense can limit them, and if your offense can get them, you can run away with this football game. And vice versa. If they start just dominating first down and you don't get a really chance to use your pass rush because they're 2nd and 2, that's a difference maker.
Okay. I think it's going to be the run game. I think both teams are really capable at running the football, but are explosive in their passing game. I think if Oregon's getting anywhere close to their 217 yards per game on the ground, and when I say anywhere close, I'm 180 and above, I think you're going to have a really difficult time winning the game unless you're just elite on offense. So I also think that if Texas Tech is having a good day running the football, that and you're in the 200 range, because I have faith in Baron Morton and our wide receivers, I think that would really set those guys up. I think they'll have a hard time slowing down this Texas Tech offense. And so I think both teams have to go into this saying, man, we got to force the other team to be a bit one-dimensional, and we got to take away the rushing game.
So kind of based on what you feel or know or think, do you feel like that favors Texas Tech because of your defensive line and what you've been able to do to teams all season?
Yeah, you just haven't given up a ton on the ground. Yeah, so yes, I would agree with what you're saying. I think it does favor the Red Raiders a little bit.
I mean,
that's one area where I would put the check mark in the Red Raider side of things.
Okay, 69 yards is what you're giving up per ball game.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you look at Oregon and they're 113, and you're like, wow, 113, that's pretty good. But then you're saying to them, well, hold our beer here because, the Red Raiders are at 68.5. And I haven't gone through because I still think it's pretty impressive in Big 12 play too. If you take out the first 3 games, I still think it's still very impressive what you've been able to do against Big 12 teams too. So I mean, it's not like you held Kent State and Oregon State and Arkansas Pine Bluff to 2 yards, and then that kind of puffed up your average. So I mean, you did dominate them. I mean, you beat them 67-7, and 62-14, and 45-14.
Here's a stat that I think is one that Chuck Heinz will like.
Okay.
This will be one that you'll remember, and you'll like this one. You like to look at by quarters and all that good stuff.
I do.
Oregon's first 3 quarters, 118, 176, 134. Fourth quarter, they've only scored 68 points this year. Way under what they had done in the other 3 quarters. How about points allowed? 30, 42, 38 through the first 3. In the fourth? 95.
Yeah.
So is all that having to do with them blowing teams out and not playing their starters in the fourth quarter? Surely some of that is the case.
But then when you look at Tech's numbers, they're you've outscored your opponent 164-20, 154-36, 110-21, and 124-65. So, I mean, you've done a really good job in all four quarters. You've not really let up. I mean, there have been a couple of games where you gave up some points there at the end that you would have preferred not to give up, but
absolutely.
But by and large, I mean, you did a really good job, and in especially in the last. I mean, the one game that you didn't was the K-State game, but that's all the way back on November the 1st. Other than that, BYU 7, UCF 9, West Virginia none, and BYU 7. And before that, Oklahoma State none. Before that, was your loss to Arizona State, and you gave up 26. And you gave up, I think, a trash touchdown to KU, and you gave up you gave up 11 points to Houston. I think one of them was a touchdown and 2-point conversion, I believe, if I'm right on that.
Let me ask this to Jamie. Does it make you feel any better about the rushing defense, knowing the most you've given up in a game this year is 126?
Does it make me feel better?
It sounds like you're a little worried about their run game and our ability to stop them. The most you have given up this year is 126.
Yeah, to answer your question straight out, yes. Yeah, I think it does make me feel better. At the same time, I think this is a better offense than you've faced this year.
Sure, yeah, and I'm not trying to say that Oregon isn't a good offense.
I think BYU was really good, but BYU was a physical, grinded-out kind of rushing attack. You match up well with that.
Yes.
Oregon is about speed. I'm not certain whether or not we match up with them speed-wise. So I thought we were a good matchup with BYU. I'm not sure about Oregon yet.
That 126 was to Kansas State.
And a lot of it was on 3 runs from their quarterback.
Who had a little bit of speed. But also had better timing than anything else.
Yeah.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Third down goal. Handoff Foreman, big hole in the middle, and he's weaving his way inside the 10, and now the pile being pushed forward. He's going to get to the end zone. Are you kidding? No, the ball is out. They've stripped him, and the ball is coming the other direction. It's Coleman. Coleman is in Texas territory at the 30, the 20, 10, 5, dives for the pylon. Are they going to call it a score? Touchdown, Red Raiders!
That'll get you going. 8:02 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Good morning. With Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. We come to you from the First United Bank studio. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. You can continue to send those our way. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. This is probably a stupid thought, but I want to run it by you guys because I've not gotten any traction on it yet, and I don't think I'm going to get any traction on it, but it's just a thought that I have.
Well, can we, and I'm asking this because I'm trying to help you out. If we had this conversation during the break, we could then tell you if it was a stupid thought.
No, I think
and not everybody would have to know.
No, because I think it's more fun this way. Okay?
Okay.
Do you think weather plays at all a role in this? In other words, do you think the temperature is not going to be that high in Miami on Thursday morning? At kickoff, it's going to be 61 degrees, 64 at 1, 65 at 5, and so at 2, and by the time the game's over, probably about 66 degrees. Okay, humidity is about 46%. But just kind of given their weather versus our weather versus Miami's weather, do you think that could play a role in guys getting heated or taxed or winded or anything along those lines?
It's 61 degrees.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
It was 80 like 3 days ago.
I know. I'm not talking about our guys. I'm talking about Oregon's guys. No.
Okay. No.
All right. Again,
I do think they'll get some advantage with being used to the humidity.
Us?
Over us, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they'll have Oregon will have the advantage because of the amount of humidity they normally deal with that we don't. But it's going to be 68, 66.
Yeah, it's not like it's going to be. I mean, there's times in Miami when it's been those Orange Bowl games have been hot, and you've seen cold or northern teams go into that environment and it not be as conditioned as maybe their opponent from a California team or something along those lines. That's just been my experience of watching the Orange Bowl over the years. But again, I didn't get any traction on it over the weekend when I asked a couple of the players that question. One of the players like, well, they got an indoor that's 70 degrees just like we do. I'm like, okay. I mean, that makes it so nobody has bought into what I'm saying, or thought or thinking, or just. And again, I'm not saying that it's going to be a factor. It's just sometimes, when you have those games where, hey, the sun comes out and it looks like it feels warmer than it really is, and a team that's not necessarily used to it and hasn't played in a while, and they get a little taxed.
They actually have played in a while.
But they have, right?
We're the ones that haven't played in a while.
Right, yeah, right. No, again, like I said, it was probably a stupid.
So the people
thought.
You asked about it this weekend,
nobody agreed with me.
You didn't take their.
I just wanted to run by you. I don't know.
Very strongly.
No, I did. I did. I just kind of wanted to run it by you guys as well.
So now that Jeff and I believe that it's shouldn't be a big deal. Are you gonna stop asking, or are you gonna keep asking others? Like to see if you find somebody that can agree with you.
No, I don't have anybody that's. I mean, I'm 0 for 4.
Okay.
So.
Well, you might find somebody.
No, I mean, I just think that if the weather turns.
I mean, Rob Bro might agree with you.
I doubt it.
He might.
I will say, not a stupid question.
Okay, thank you. So at least.
I don't agree with the idea that it's going to be a factor, but that doesn't mean it was a stupid question.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that does bring up an interesting point, though. Is this the battle for who's got the better indoor facility? Between Tech and Oregon?
I've not seen theirs, so I don't know what theirs looks like. I'm sure it's very
Oregon.
Nice.
It's Nike nice. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very nice. Let's see. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. As we get closer to the games, here come the doubting Thomases, scared of their own shadows. Still think it's a Spike Dykes era team that's just glad to be there and honored to be on the field with Oregon. This team is real and has a legit chance to win a natty. If we could just get some of our fans to believe it. I don't think we've had any naysayers. I think we've had some really good thoughts this morning and, observations and things like that. I don't feel like, I think
the only extremely doubter this morning was not a Texas Tech fan. I don't think he was an Oregon fan either. My assumption that he was a Longhorn or an Aggie, just kind of trying to rain on our parade.
jelly. He was just jelly of us.
I don't know if he was that.
It'd be better if he was peanut butter with us.
This from the great Gordo. Dear Chuck, how are you, my friend? I'm doing great, Gordo. Thank you. I'm doing well to quite well. I've been listening closely to the show today, and one Jamie Lent made a great point about Oregon's speed. I watched the UW, which is Washington, Oregon game, and their speed killed the Huskies. How do the quick kick brothers think we will defend their offense? Does their speed hamper our ability to blitz? Thank you for the sports that you give us, just so you know. Love you. Gordo P.S. Please tell Jeff McGuire that I'm a big fan.
Thanks, Gordo.
Gordo's a big fan. So what do the quick kick brothers think about defending their offense and their speed hampering our ability to blitz?
So my assumption is with their speed, they're going to get rid of the ball in a hurry. Okay? I think they're going to try probably early on in the game, especially try to slow your pass rushers down by quickly getting quick hitters to the outside. Okay? Some of those behind the line of scrimmage screens, whatever, wide receiver screens, whatever, to get those rush ends moving side to side rather than up the field. So I think that's where you're first going to have to deal with their speed. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. Because, if you're not thinking of ways to kind of, slow down or, try to make those two pass rushers not as big of a factor, then you're silly, right?
Yeah.
And so then them being able to run the football will be a big part of that as well, and get into situations where it's, when they're in second and short or third and short, and it's not a passing situation where it could be a run or a pass. That would also slow them down a little bit.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.